Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here. This is episode 107 of the American Reveille Podcast. And on today's episode, we're going to talk all about the Chinese Communist Party. You see, they've gone well beyond infiltrating and doing all kinds of dastardly things to our country. They've literally sewn themselves into the very fabric of the United States of America. And it gets very frustrating because you just want to shake people. You want to yell in their face and try to wake them up because they just don't see that we're playing right into their evil plans. All right. We are literally doing business with genocidal communists. And nobody sees a problem with this. Well, in 2016, an advisor to the Chinese Communist Party, a Chinese communist himself, came up with a gigantic plan to literally take over the world, to kick the United States out of the lead seat, the number one spot, the throne of taking care of business, the top spot economically, the superpower spot in the world. All right. People don't think this plan is happening. They think it was all talk. But when I read it to you, when we go through this, you're going to be bewildered. You're going to go, what the? It's going to piss you off because literally it feels like we're going through exactly what this plan lays out right now. And yet everybody seems to just think it's nothing. All right. Nobody's doing a thing about it. And while we sit on our hands, and while we do nothing, China grows in power immensely on a daily basis, ladies and gentlemen. You need this information. This is important because within the next few years, even sooner, we are in big trouble. And when I say big trouble, when I talk about next few years, I'm not just talking about, war, or this or that, or da-da-da-da-da. All right, listen, there's 200 fishing boats with Chinese militia right off the coast of the Philippines right now saying, do something. All right, cracking down. All right, cracking down in their territories. We're not doing a thing. All right, genocide. All right, chemical castration of Uyghurs, killing and murder of Uyghurs. We're doing nothing. We're doing nothing about it. You know what we're doing? We're going to Alaska and getting told that we're little bitches. That's what we're doing. You want the real truth? You want the hard, real truth? Stay tuned next on the American Reveille Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, episode 107 of the American Reveille Podcast. I'm sure you know that by now. I'm sure you heard the passionate introduction to this episode, but what choice do I have? I got young kids. They're going to grow up in red America? I don't want to deal with that. None of us want to deal with that. We don't need communist United States of America. That's garbage. It's nonsense. And yet it's the reality we're all facing if we keep allowing the Chinese Communist Party to dig their way deeper and deeper and deeper into the heart, soul, and minds of our children and into the basement levels, the foundational levels of our governments and our systems. I meant to say government systems, like governments and systems. I guess you could say governments because each state is kind of like its own mini government. Right. And each of them have their own little systems in place. Everybody's got their own laws in place. And the Chinese plan, the Chinese Communist plan, truly involves getting down to the congressional district level. All right. It's some freaky stuff. It's really some freaky stuff. We're going to go through it. It's kind of a long one. I'll try to cut to the chase with it as much as possible. Do me a favor in the meantime. All right. If you're enjoying this podcast and you're also like me and get stressed and have stomach problems and have all kinds of issues with bloating and have to cleanse the toxins out of your body because you're not perfect. You don't live that perfectly healthy lifestyle. All right. You got to do the best you can. All right. We all got to do the best we can, but it never hurts to take a supplement. And it never hurts to take a quick cleanse, a nice, natural, gentle cleanse. All right. Life Change Tea. Amazing product. All right. Getthetea.com. You go to getthetea.com. Pick up some Life Change Tea. It's a gentle cleanse. It will put you to the bathroom, folks. It will clean you out, but it isn't going to be Mount Vesuvius. It's not going to be Pompeii. All right, exploding and killing all the villagers. All right, nobody is going to have a bad day with Life Change Tea. All right. It's going to be an easy day there, and you're going to feel relief. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel cleansed. It's a proprietary blend of herbs that have been used for 1,000 years. People have been taking these things forever. All right. It's all natural. It's made in the USA, put together there at least. Some of these herbs are very special. They come from very special places around the world, but it is created, packaged, processed, and made to perfection in the good old US of A. All right. I drink the stuff. I seriously do. I wouldn't have it on the show. You know me. I wouldn't put it on the show if I didn't take it myself. Give it a try. Getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. Life Change Tea. Use the promo code James for free shipping and handling. If you would do me a favor, stick around. All right. Stick around at the end of the episode. Stick around for me for like 2 minutes. You can watch a cool little ad I put together about it. And if you'd like, then you can go to getthetea.com. Get yourself some Life Change Tea today. Feel that relief you've been looking for. You can just keep drinking it daily, daily, daily. Your body adjusts to it and it becomes this nice part of your routine if you'd like, or you can take it here and there. Either way, it's super good for you. All right. They sponsored this episode, and I am very grateful for that. That really, really helps us move forward as a company, helps us expand. So thank you guys so much for the sponsorship, and I'll hope all of you'll go and get some Life Change Tea and check it out. All right, guys. Hey. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Leave that comment. Thank you guys so much. Let's rock and roll and get right the hell into this. All right. This is Epic Times. Nicole Howe. I hope I'm saying that correct. Nicole Howe. All right. CCP advisor outlined detailed plan to defeat U.S., including manipulating elections. Oh, well, look at that. What do you know? Right? You even mention this stuff. You're deplatformed. I'm shadow banned everywhere. I can't talk about anything. It doesn't matter what facts I present. I've never plagiarized one thing in my life. I can't talk about it. Oh, but look, here it is. 2016, they did it. Let's talk about it. Let's read a little. A leading Chinese professor, who's also an advisor to the Chinese Communist Party, laid out a comprehensive plan for the communist regime to overthrow the United States as the world's superpower. The professor's multi-pronged strategy involves a range of malign actions to subvert the United States while strengthening the Chinese regime. They include cultivating global enemies to challenge the United States. They include interfering in U.S. elections. They include controlling the American market, stealing technology, expanding Chinese territory, influencing international organizations, all things that when we read about, we'll be able to cite examples of. All right. This stuff is happening. It's been happening. Some of it's new. Some of it's not so new. It's almost as if they've been planning this for a very, very long time. And Donald Trump just created a very difficult situation for them. All right. But now that China Joe is in style, what's to stop them from finishing off the United States? All right. This isn't some little baby plan here. This is some real deal stuff. This is new age 5D chess, okay? No longer are they storming our beaches. If they have to get to that point, I'm sure they might. But why would they do that when they can literally take us over like this? They can literally take us hostage. You know, they can literally become our pimp. You'll see. Watch. The plan was explained in detail by Jin Kenrong, a professor and associate dean of the School of International Studies at Beijing's Renmin University of China, in a July 2016 speech on Sino-U.S. strategic philosophy, given over 2 full days at Southern Club Hotel business class in South China's Jiangsu city. All right, Jiangsu. Yeah, something like that. We want to be the world leader, Jin said. Oh, really? Explaining Chinese leader Xi Jinping's desire for a national rejuvenation of the country. What's really funny is they talk about this. They say it publicly, and nobody takes it serious. It's like Hitler. Hitler wrote about what he was going to do to the Jews in Mein Kampf. People read it. Nobody did anything about it. It's the same thing here. All right. Uyghurs are being castrated chemically. They're being murdered. They're being buried in pits. Nope. Doesn't matter. No issues. Nobody's doing a thing about it. Censorship, violence, oppression. Nobody's doing a thing about it. Global meddling in other people's elections, other countries' elections, and in their companies and in the affairs of business. No, nobody can. Stealing technology. What is it going to take to do? Building artificial islands off the coasts of the Philippines and other countries in waters that aren't theirs, and then claiming those islands to be China's islands so that they can build military bases. I mean, how far do they have to go? When is it when they start shooting people in the head on national TV and it's put around the world? Is that going to be enough? I don't think it will. I think they're going to let China get to the point where China is committing full-on, blatant, in people's face, overreaching atrocities, taking over countries and murdering millions, just like back in the 1930s. All right? That's what they're going to do. That's the only time they'll ever be militarily confronted. If it gets to that, if we can get some strong leadership in place, maybe we can sanction them to death. But let's see what happens. All right. Dubbed, quote, teacher of the state by Chinese netizens, Jin is a prominent scholar known for his fiery anti-U.S. rhetoric. And this is how they get away with this, by the way, too. They have like a teacher do it at a school. And then they say, oh, it was a speech. It was just a theory. It was just a school. It was an academic. Even though they advise the government and then these things seem to happen. He's an advisor to two powerful bodies of the CCP, the Organization Department and the United Front Work Department, though it is unclear how close he is to Xi Jinping. All right, let's start with the first section of this called Weakening the United States. All right. Hey, guys, if you really like what we're doing, do me a favor. Head over to www.americanreveille.com. Hit the Support Us tab right here, and you can donate cryptocurrency, or you can go right to PayPal, hit the Support Us tab, and anything helps. It goes right back into the American Reveille. We use it to expand our operations, to trademark what we're doing, to really try to get this out to more patriots, wake people up and empower the nation. All right. Everything costs money. All right. So whatever we can do to get that money to put back into the company, we got to do. All right. We're little guys. We're the grassroots company. We don't have big name sponsors and big giant companies and $10 million contracts. All right. Everything's coming out of our pocket. So whatever you can do is greatly appreciated. Again, www.americanreveille.com, REVEILLE.com. Hit the Support Us tab, donate today. And thank you so much in advance. All right. It means the world to me that you guys enjoy what we do, and the help is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back to what we're reading here. All right, weakening the United States. The strategy to topple the United States was composed of two broad components: weakening America through both internal and foreign sources, and strengthening the Chinese regime's economic, military, and diplomatic power. Using a metaphor of a company to illustrate the U.S.-China dynamic, Jin likened the U.S. to a company president and China to a vice president who wants the top job. The United States is a middle-aged man who's good-looking, has strong capabilities, and support from most of his employees, Jin said. To replace him, first we need to create the conditions to make it easier for the United States to make mistakes. Second, we should make it as busy as possible, dealing with problems, to the extent that it will feel depressed and want to give up. Third, we should become intertwined with the United States so that it can't attack us. Looky. And they're going to explain all this in further detail. Jin said the CCP was thinking of many ways to weaken the United States, which he described as a very difficult task. So the professor then offered up 4 practical tactics. All right. And these tactics are what the Chinese is currently using. All right. The Chinese Communist Party, what they are currently using to attack the United States. All right. When I say we're under attack, we are at war. This is really happening. You just don't see it. It's just something like the Matrix. You can't see it or smell it or taste it, but you know it's there. It's there. It's real. This is the real deal, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1. Manipulating elections. Jin suggested that the CCP should interfere in U.S. elections to bring pro-Beijing candidates to power. He singled out races for seats in the House of Representatives as an easy target. You guys remember Swalwell yet? Huh? How about Feinstein? The Chinese government wants to arrange Chinese investments in every single congressional district to control thousands of voters in each district, Jin said. He noted with a population at the time of about 312 million and 435 congressional districts, roughly 750,000 residents live in each district. All right. Now pay close attention to this math, guys. The voting rate in the United States is about 30%. Which means that around 200,000 residents in each congressional district vote for the representatives in that district, Jin said. Normally, the difference of votes between two candidates is 10,000 or less. If China has thousands of votes on hand, China will be the boss of the candidates. So China has literally broken down the most vulnerable of congressional districts in our United States. They've done the math, and they understand that they need just around 10,000 citizens that are voting. All right, to vote in a certain direction. All right. So out of a huge mass, almost 1 million people, all they need is just 10,000 people, a small rock concert, a tiny pro wrestling event, 10,000 people. All right. Plain and simple. And they can sway elections to a higher percent in the favor of China. Jin said Chinese ambition is to at least control the House of Representatives. Quote, the best Chinese scenario is that China can buy the United States and change the U.S. House of Representatives into the second standing committee of the National People's Congress, he said, referring to the committee that oversees the CCP's rubber stamp legislature. Now, look at our Congress. Look how many people are afraid to fight. Look how many people in politics right now are under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party. That doesn't sound very strange. It doesn't sound far-fetched. In fact, it sounds like what's happening right now. Number 2, controlling the U.S. market. Ramping up Chinese investments in the United States is another way to exert influence in the country's political system, Jin said, noting that this tactic has the added benefit of enriching Chinese business people and the CCP. Quote, the investment opportunities in the United States are relatively good. He said the U.S. market is open, more open than the Japanese and European ones. He continued, adding that its benefit includes the size, transparency, and stability that the U.S. market has to offer. He said the Chinese regime wants Chinese businesses and business people to control the U.S. market and also for them to develop their businesses within the United States itself. To reach this goal, the Chinese regime has tried to negotiate with Washington for what's called the U.S.-China Bilateral Investment Treaty, the BIT. The agreement was actively negotiated for the decade prior to 2017, but then fell off the agenda during Trump's admin. Thank you, President Donald Trump. Very much so. Thank you indeed. Some U.S. companies wishing to enter the Chinese market and the U.S.-China Business Council have continued to advocate for the signing of a bilateral investment treaty between the United States and China. Now, even more, let's go even further. Think about the enemies that the U.S. faces. All right now, we have terrorism coming back. That's an enemy. We have the border crisis. That's technically an enemy. All right. They're banging on our walls, on our southern fortifications. All right. We have to solve the issue. We're not going to destroy that, but it's an issue. It's a problem. It's a crisis we have to solve. So it's an enemy, right? We have Iran. We have China. We have Russia. All right. That's 5 things I've named so far. 5 things. How about the opioid epidemic? All right. That's past. I mean, the fentanyl epidemic. How about that? Forget the opioid epidemic. Well, don't forget it. But you see where I'm coming from. Fentanyl is even crazier. That's 6 enemies. It can keep going. Trust me. It just depends on how you look. All right. Number 3 is fostering the enemies of the U.S. That's why I keep bringing this up, all right? Because they're going to talk about something from World War II. They're going to bring up how they can double that and how that would confuse the United States. And we are experiencing this right now. We bombed Syria. I mean, come on. Think about this. Let's talk. All right. 3, fostering enemies of the U.S. Jin said the CCP's strategic task was to make sure the United States had not less than 4 enemies at one time. Okay? 4 enemies are needed to stretch the United States resources while bogging the government down in domestic debate over which threat to prioritize. This is them taking advantage of our democratic process. 4 enemies are needed to stretch the United States resources while bogging the government down in domestic debates. There's the keyword, domestic debates. In China, the state controls the debate. All right? Here the people do. It slows the process down. All right. For instance, before World War II, the United States had 2 adversaries, Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. Quote, the Americans debated over and over about who was the real threat, he said. So if the United States has 4 enemies, it will totally lose its direction. That's quite possible. Analyzing the situation as of 2016, Jin concluded that the United States only has 3 adversaries. All right. This was 2016. Terrorism. All right. Russia. All right. Definitely the United States treats us as a competitor, he said. 3, that's China. All right. I'm counting, like I said, I counted 6 so far. The professor said that in the past few years, the CCP had tried to develop Brazil into an adversary. See what they're doing? They're manipulating other countries and the United States against each other. All right. Don't you see what's happening? How races in this country, white, black, Latino, Asian, we're all being pitted against each other. It's almost if some country that was experienced in turning people into adversaries had found a way to do it in our very country. It's almost as if, try to think about that. It's quite possible China found a way in. All right. And has key people pulling the strings. Just a theory, not saying that's what's happening, but it is very, very, very coincidental. And you know how Steve Bannon says there's no such thing as coincidence. He said the CCP had pumped a lot of investment into Brazil in the bid to get its support on global issues, including taking stances against the United States. Xi had visited Brazil in 2014 and agreed to invest in infrastructure in the country's western region, as well as railway to link ports in Brazil and Peru. Jin said the Chinese regime has given up on its approach and is trying to find a candidate to develop into a U.S. adversary. And I'd read earlier today that China's demanding from Iran that they are part of the talks for the re-entry of the Iran nuclear deal. So I think maybe, just maybe, China has found its puppet in Iran. 4, causing international problems for the United States. Jin said the Chinese regime was at a strategic advantage due to the United States' role as a global enforcer, the world police, as the movie calls it. Whenever there is a crisis in the world, the United States has to intervene to maintain global stability, which in turn drains U.S. resources and diverts its attention away from China. As examples, he cited Afghanistan and Iraq war, which he described as completely not strategically valuable, endeavors that cost the United States $6 trillion and 10,000 soldiers' lives. The result was that the United States wasted 10 years without being aware of China's development and let China grow big, Jin said. Because that's the whole thing. All their advantages around the world are because they're a developing country, except while we were all distracted, they developed, and now they're still getting those advantages. They're still getting those advantages, and they've undermined us in every area, and they've corrupted and convinced all of the bodies and agencies around the world that we're bad and they're good, while everybody is turning a blind eye to the atrocities they're committing. It's not good stuff. And the United States needs to get back into the department of repairing its broken reputation, all right, and standing the hell up to the Chinese Communist Party, because they don't respect weakness. It ain't that kind of culture. All right. Another possible tactic is to sell the CCP's holding of U.S. Treasury bonds to precipitate a debt crisis. He said, according to the U.S. Treasury, China currently holds nearly $1.1 trillion in U.S. Treasury securities. Now, because they're a communist country, China can say, everybody sell, and everybody has to sell, and they will. That'll cause a big issue. Finally, engaging in drawn-out negotiations with the United States is also an effective strategy to bog down the United States while giving the regime the time to focus on developing itself, according to Jin. During such negotiations, the United States wouldn't take punitive actions against the CCP, such as sanctions, and instead focused its energy on preparing and carrying out the tasks. Meanwhile, the Chinese regime, which has no intention of negotiating in good faith, would use the breathing space given to it over the course of the negotiations to solidify its power both inside and outside of China. And by outside of China, they mean in enemy countries, allied countries, and of course, infiltration within the United States itself, ladies and gentlemen. And what do you think's happening right now? When we have delegations in Alaska wasting our time as taxpayers, getting told that we're basically beneath the Chinese Communist Party and we don't have the right to negotiate them from any position of power whatsoever. We're just getting disrespected. Or we might as well line up for the COVID anal swabs next. All right. I mean, it really is silly. All right, that Biden would be into this. The only reason he would be into this is because he's bought into this. All right, and that is what we all believe. There's no other reason. There's no other way. All right, there's money involved. There's always money involved. Former Deputy National Security Advisor Matthew Pottinger in February warned of the CCP's negotiation traps. Pottinger said years of successive formal dialogues between the two sides, such as the strategic economic dialogue, allowed the regime to draw out the clock and continue its economic assaults on the United States with impunity. All right. And the people that do nothing about it, we should be looking into their background and seeing how they are connected to communist China. All right, strengthening the Chinese regime. This keeps going. Jin said the Chinese regime has greatly relied on the U.S. trade and investments to spur its economic development over the past 4 decades. He highlighted the four approaches to expand the CCP's economic and political power at home and abroad. You see, we gave them all this sweeping power and all these benefits. They opened their market. They made this quasi-capital free market, this capitalistic free market. But what we didn't expect is for them to keep controlling the business leaders. All the business leaders have to be Communist Party members. They all strictly adhere to what the government wants, even though they participate in a form of free trade that allows great riches to flow into the Chinese Communist Party. We thought, if they get a taste of democracy, they'll want it. Nope. They just found a way to combine communism and capitalism and compartmentalize everything. All right. So, you can still get shot behind the chemical shed, but you just make a lot more money before you do. 1, let's move on, right? 1, stealing U.S. technology. The professor admitted that the CCP has depended on stolen American technology to fuel its growth. We've seen this in many reports. We've heard about this. We know that they are great duplicators and replicators. The Chinese's greatest skill is to take our technology, to come into our businesses, work in our places, steal our technology, and reproduce it and sell it cheaper. All right, that's what they do. That's how they've become the manufacturers of the world. Quote, China's industry has a large output but lacks certain technology, Jin said. In the past 30 years, we bought technology, 46% of which was from Germany. But the United States has been the best technology. Of course, it didn't sell that to us. He added, Americans think the Chinese hackers steal a lot of these things. This may very well be true. Jin said key technology for China's J-20 fighter jet and DF-41 intercontinental ballistic missiles were stolen from the United States. Still, we do nothing about it. We just let them steal from us. Whatever. The regime is also eager to reverse engineer American hardware in the hopes of replicating the technology, Jin said. In June 2016, China's Long March 7 rocket sent an orbital debris cleanup satellite, Oolong 1, Oolong, I guess you would call it, 1, to space. Beijing claimed that Oolong 1 only brought space debris back to Earth, but Jin suggested the satellite had another mission. Are you ready for this, guys? The U.S. said that Oolong 1 was collecting American satellites from space and bringing them back to China. Jin said we can dismantle the American satellites and reassemble them into Chinese ones. You see that? So when our technology in outer space runs out of juice and we just leave it up there in orbit, they're literally sending up robots to come take our garbage. They're picking through our garbage to repurpose our technology. All right. They're like literally like junk. You ever see like space movies like Star Wars and all that? There's always like a race of creatures that do stuff with junk. There's like a junk planet or junk monsters or junk creatures in robes. Yeah, that's like what they do. That's what they are. 2, expanding the regime's territory. I'm talking about the Chinese Communist Party, by the way, not human, like just regular, nice, normal Chinese people. That's not what I'm talking about. So don't screw me here. 2, expanding the regime's territory. This is a big deal. Jin believed that the Chinese regime would occupy the entirety of the South China Sea and Taiwan in the near future. The CCP lays claim to almost all of the South China Sea, despite a 2016 ruling by international courts finding that its territorial claims were unlawful. The Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan have competing claims in the waterways, home to rich fishing grounds and potentially valuable national resources. The South China Sea is also one of the world's major shipping routes. So those who are watching and not listening, look at this picture. This is an artificial island China built. They literally learned how to make islands, and they're building military bases on these islands. And this is an issue right now because China has and my in-laws, my entire extended family is all from the Philippines. My wife's from the Philippines, so I have a lot at stake in the Philippines, and I love the Philippines. I have a very strong connection there. There's 200 fishing vessels full of Chinese military and militia members right off the coast of the Philippines right now, just sitting there, screwing with people, screwing with us, testing the waters. All right? Testing the waters. What do you think China is doing? They're not playing games, ladies and gentlemen. Beijing has sought to bolster its claims in the strategic waterways by building artificial islands in the area and then putting military outposts on them. In 1.5 years, 2013 and 2014, under Xi's administration, Xi Jinping, China has created more than 3,200 acres of technology. You live in a house, right? You're like a half acre, 3,200 acres of fake islands. And then they say, this is our land. Now they build it in your back. Imagine if like your neighbor came into your yard, laid a concrete foundation and built a shed on it and then said, fuck you, this is my shed. That's my concrete post. I don't care that it's in your territory. This is my island. Yeah. That's what's happening. And no one's doing a thing about it. Not a thing. The other 4 claimant states have only created 100 acres in 45 years. Jin predicted the CCP would continue to create more features in the South China Sea. He also boasted about the regime's success in wresting control of the Scarborough Shoal from the Philippines in 2012 with the help of Chinese fishing boats and Coast Guard vessels. That's what's happening because they know we won't attack fishing vessels. They are disguising people like civilians. They're taking things right out of the Viet Cong playbook, right? Even if the Philippines wants the United States to take over the reefs in the South China Sea, the United States can't guard them. Jin said if the U.S. puts an aircraft carrier there, China will simply just send 2,000 fishing boats to surround the carrier, and then that carrier won't dare to fire on the fishing boats. And they're absolutely right. Remember, it's a communist country. The government just has to tell its people what to do, and they have no choice but to listen. So the government can literally say, all fishing boats surround this carrier or we'll kill your whole family. And they'll surround the carrier, and the carrier won't do shit. They won't do a thing, and everything will fall, and the Chinese will win. It's time for America to grow a pair of balls again, and that is not going to happen under Joe Biden. That's going to lead, unfortunately, we have a very scary 3 years ahead of us, 3 to 4 years. In relation to Taiwan, the CCP has more ways to bring the democratic island under its control, Jin said. The regime views the self-ruled island as part of its territory and has vowed to bring Taiwan under its fold with force if necessary. For instance, the regime could bribe Taiwanese politicians, ban trade and tourism in China, convince the few remaining countries that recognize Taiwan diplomacy to switch to China, blocking Taiwan's participation in international organizations and meetings, and even assassinating Taiwanese to instill fear among the population. And we have seen what they have done to Taiwan. Remember, this was written in 2016, not the article, but what Jin himself said was from 2016. 3, building global influence by leading projects. And this is a thing China does. They go to countries. They built a whole ton of highways and a high-speed railway in the Philippines, and all over the world they do things so that they can literally buy the loyalty of countries that are less fortunate than they are, right? It creates a very big conundrum. Xi Jinping's global strategy to bolster the regime's global power, it has 2 pillars. All right. This is according to Jin. One is the Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI, and the other is the Free Trade Area of the Asia Pacific, FTAP. BRI, previously known as One Belt, One Road, is a massive global investment strategy launched by the CCP in 2013 and aimed at bolstering its economic and political influence across Asia, Europe, Africa, and South America. The project involves investments in infrastructure and natural resource projects in countries. It's been criticized by the United States and other countries as an example of debt trap diplomacy. It saddles developing countries with unsustainable debt burdens while allowing the regime to export its technology and governance abroad. You see what they do? They help your country, and then you're in debt. They're like the mafia. All right. And if you don't pay up in time, or if you don't do what they tell you to do, if you don't do what you're told when they call upon you for the favor, they're going to come in with baseball bats and break your legs or do much worse. They're holding countries hostage, absolutely hostage. The ultimate purpose of BRI is to team up with the industrial power, Germany. All right. Then there's no position of the United States in the world's industrial playing field. Similarly, Jin said that FTAP, a proposed free trade agreement between 21 Asian Pacific countries, would open a conduit of influence for the CCP in the region. And that is the key word, influence. All right. The more around the world China has influenced, the less anyone's going to do about them trying to take over the world. And make no mistake, whether they do it this year or whether their plan is for 50 years, China's plan is to take over the world. All right. The professor also believed that Chinese-backed development banks, the New Development Bank and the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, would work to Beijing's advantage, as countries that receive loans from the bank would then be beholden to the regime, Jin said. We're building up our friends' circle in the world. We'll be more powerful than the United States and we'll have more friends, he said. Then we can tell the United States that we are the only representative of the world. That is their goal. Again. All right. What happened during COVID? All right. What happened? What happened during COVID? What happened when the World Health Organization sided with China, when the CDC sided with China, when everybody sided with China? And we were sitting here being looked at like the bad guys for nothing because they were lying about us and the world believed them. They are building influence every minute of every hour of every single day while we sit back here and do nothing, while we waste our time in Alaska getting told to kick rocks, while we waste our time in general with a president who doesn't even know where he is, whose son literally goes to China to bang hookers, do cocaine, and make millions of dollars for no reason. This is literally a preview of the downfall of the United States of America. All right. Thank God I don't think that's going to happen, because there's a lot of brave men and women, a lot of strong leaders in this country that are stepping up, that have stepped up and will do the right thing when the time comes. You know, America's founded on those brave heroes, and those brave heroes will rise up once again. I'm not worried about that, but the truth must flow for that to happen. All right. For the right people to say the right things at the right time, for the right inspiration to come out, for the right muse to be in the right place, say those magic words and inspire the right person that says that thing that makes all of this go away and makes a beautiful day come back to the United States of America, then that is what will happen. Listen. These things work in mysterious ways. Sometimes hardship needs, and I know I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole, but that's how this works sometimes. Sometimes, all right, there has to be some hardship in the world to remind people of what's important, all right, to wake people up. And people wake up, people will remember what's important. People will do the right thing. And this too, this craziness too, I promise, shall end. All right, folks, there's still a little more of this. Do me a favor. All right. Do me a huge, huge favor. All right. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please take a second to give me a 5-star rating. All right. And share. Tell people about this. If you're on Gab or Parler or social media, tag your favorite influencers, tag people like Dan Bongino, tag people, even the smaller people. Let them know, hey, have you heard about the American Reveille? Hey, you should work with these people. Hey, we'd love to see James Lane on your show. If you really love what we do, email them. All right. Email them directly. Hound them for me. All right. Let's make this thing break through the wall of censorship. All right. I'm going to do everything I can on my end, but I need your help to do everything you can on your end. We're going to tell big tech to shove it, and we're going to make it regardless of the censorship. Mark my words. You mark my words. But it'll be much easier if you guys all work with me and we do it together. All right. In the next couple weeks, I'm going to come out with a big announcement for a sticker contest. I got these awesome stickers for the American Reveille and for the podcast itself. I'm waiting for the trademarks to finish up and come through before I can distribute them, but it's going to be a $200 grand prize. Guys, we aren't playing around. It's a lot of good stuff. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, give us the 5-star rating. If you're on Gab, follow us at American_Reveille. If you're on Facebook, we're there. We don't post much because we're shadow banned. Same on Twitter, shadow banned. We're shadow banned everywhere. YouTube, we're shadow banned. Less than 100 people see our stuff there. That's all right. We're on Odyssey. Go to odysee.com, American_Reveille there. And of course, we're still on Parler at the James Lane. And I promise you, we will be expanding. All right, guys, let's get back to this. Let's wrap it up. Just thank you so much. Just thank you for having me. I appreciate you helping me out, following those directions, and sharing what we do with everybody you know. All right. It's going to be you guys that make this a success. All right. Plain and simple. It's going to be you guys. So let's get here. Number 4. All right, let's get to it. Influencing international organizations. And like we just talked about, the WHO, the UN, all right, they've been given key positions in the United Nations. It's gone crazy. They're literally committing genocide, and yet the UN respects them. It makes no sense. It makes no sense unless this document that I'm reading to you is actually happening. And I bet you it is. I bet you it is. Jin also explained the CCP's plan to exert greater influence over global bodies such as the United Nations, the World Trade Organization, the World Health Organization, Interpol, and the International Monetary Fund, the International Olympic Committee, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The Chinese regime's goal is for all of these international organizations to be controlled by China. We can appoint someone who speaks Chinese, who represents China, and will be their leaders, all right? They can literally appoint their own people to control the world through these organizations. During his speech, Jin emphasized that Xi was unlike his predecessors in his ambitions. Previous CCP leaders such as Deng Xiaoping, Jiang Zemin, and Hu Jintao worked hard to develop the regime's power, but didn't dare use it, he said. No matter how much power you have, it's nothing if you don't dare to use it. Chairman Xi dares to use it. Xi's authorities, have the power to dare to use the power. All right. They have the power. They dare to use the power, and all of its attacks make the other party bleed. You know what that sounds like to me and why I'm stuttering? Because it's freaky. It sounds like a dictator. All right. So why don't we clear the air and get this right? Because it's going to come out sooner or later. It's not Emperor Xi Jinping. It's dictator Xi Jinping. You'll see. You'll see. He'll be in the history books as another genocidal maniac. Watch. When Xi took power in 2012, all right, he urged the country to realize the Chinese dream. This meant becoming a moderately well-off country by 2021, and then a strong, democratic, civilized, harmonious, and modern socialist country by 2049. You catch that? Socialist country. You can't be democratic and socialist. It doesn't work like that. Doesn't. It's a hypocritic statement. And it even says above this was something that Jin said about Xi Jinping's ambitions. They can't be revealed to the outside world. That's a very good point, because if their true ambitions were publicly stated, they'd have to stop them. But the whispers come out, and then everybody just turns a blind eye and kicks the can down the road. Everyone knows what's happening. Our intelligence knows what's happening. Nobody has the balls to do anything about it. Jin explained that Xi's target is actually to replace the United States as the world's only superpower by 2049. Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs keeps on saying at press briefings that China loves peace. All right, but no reporters at the press briefings believe this, Jin said. It's all ridiculous, guys. That article also ended very abruptly. I forgot. I thought there was like a couple more paragraphs. All right, but that's really what it is. I mean, the whole goal of the Chinese Communist Party is to be a world superpower, however they have to do it. And their goal is long-standing. Their goal is a 2049 goal. They'll appear beaten. They'll go back into hibernation if they have to make it look like they're done. All right? We have to find a way to diplomatically stop them. And what do I mean by diplomatically stop them? I don't mean it by like work out a deal with them. I mean diplomatically by enacting sanctions. We need to stop them economically. We need to stop their trade, stop their money flow, stop everything. Choke the country out, plain and simple, because they are infiltrated. They're in our children's minds, and they are in all of our businesses. They're doing all of this. They're doing every single thing here. They've bought Washington. All right. And they are literally slowly placing our entire country in the compactor. All right. Our culture's being destroyed. Wokeness is running wild. And Xi Jinping is sitting on his throne laughing like a madman. All right. He probably watches Joe Biden and Kamala Harris like stand-up comedy. All right. Oh, they're sending Kamala to go fix the border. Ha, 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 ha. More money for me. That's probably what he thinks. All right. They don't think we're strong. They don't respect us. They think we're idiots. They hate us. And the sooner that you get it through your head that communists hate capitalists, the better. All right. Stop giving them chances. All right. And start speaking out. Again, this isn't Chinese people. This is Chinese communists. Communists. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with the Chinese Communist Party. Plain and simple. Capitalism and communism don't mix. And at the end of the day, only one will survive. As they would say in the Highlander, right? There can only be one. All right. So may the world choose wisely, because one leads to certain death and one leads to certain riches. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. That was episode 107. The Chinese communists, man, they're no joke. It's the real deal. All right. This is a long-term plan to really screw us up, and we see it playing out right in front of our eyes. Stop being afraid to speak and start speaking. Open your mouth, lest they take away your right to speak forever and ever and ever, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I told you where to find us. I told you how to get there. I told you about our sponsor. All right. Everything is in the description section, where to find us, how to sign up for the newsletter, the website, donations, everything. It's all in there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much. Remember, again, this episode's sponsored by Life Change Tea. I really enjoy the product. I use it myself. Go to getthetea.com, getthetea.com, promo code James, free shipping and handling. And stick around. Like I said before, stick around just for a minute or two and watch this ad I put together about Life Change Tea. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in episode 108. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, James Lane here, and I want to tell you about Life Change Tea. That's right, Life Change Tea. I have a pack of it right here. Listen, as many of you know, I've been working really, really hard to get back in shape, okay? I was thinking lately, right? And you should probably be thinking about it too. With how crazy everything is, with how unstable the government seems, with all of these socialists, all of this leftist insanity. You would just call it insanity. Who knows when the hell I'm going to have to run, or when I'm going to have to, I don't know, save my family from something. I don't know. So I was getting fatter and fatter and fatter, feeling crappier and crappier and crappier. My diet was junk. I started by cleaning up the diet. I've been working out more and more, but I was still bloated. I was still gassy. I was still feeling crappy. And I finally decided to pull out an old trick in the book. All right. Something that I used for weight loss in the past. And I was thinking about a cleanse, right? Maybe take something that would help me evacuate my bowels a little bit, if you know what I mean. But what I found was something different. I found Life Change Tea. All right, www.getthetea.com. I found this Life Change Tea, and instead of a 7-day or a 14-day cleanse, a 3-day cleanse, what they were offering was a daily tea, like a daily delicious iced tea, not some kind of weird hot tea or some kind of nasty tasting thing. No, this was a health supplement. All right, I started reading about it, and they were talking about all these herbs, these ancient herbs, right? Look at this: organic blessed thistle herb, malva leaf, organic marshmallow leaf. I didn't even know what the heck a marshmallow leaf was. Apparently, it's for anti-inflammatory and antioxidants and stuff. I looked some of this stuff up. It's crazy. Milk thistle extract that cleans your liver and kidneys. I mean, there's all these different things in here, but I was happy. I was attracted to it because it was all natural. It was put together in the U.S., right? Obviously, they've got to get spices from these very special places. Not spices, but these special herbs. They got to get them from special places around the world, but it's all done here. It's packaged, put together, and blended accordingly right here in the USA. All right? And I tried it, and it was delicious. Look at this. I'm old school. I fill a jug. You see this big jug right here? And for those listening over there on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and everything like that, I'm holding this big gallon jug that used to be full of water. See those tea bags floating in the bottom there? This was full, guys. But I've been drinking it every day, twice a day, 8 ounces. Take a listen. Pour it in the glass. Oh yeah, that's not a sound effect. That's real. Look at this. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. And mabuhay to all my Filipino friends out there. I have the mint flavor. It's actually really good. I really like it. It's yummy. Look, this stuff's good. I can take that right now. I'm going to do 2 hours of podcast recording after this. It's not like me drinking that's going to send me running to the bed. It's gentle. It's good stuff, all right? So it's got all these herbs. They cleanse you out. They make you regular again. They clean the toxins out of your system. They help you clean the extra waste that's been stored up in the colon, the stuff that's not healthy for you, not good for you. It keeps the bloat down. I don't feel so swollen. You know how you feel like swollen sometimes? Your fingers are... Yeah, you don't feel like that. It's gone. It's absolutely gone. So it's good stuff, guys. Listen, you have to go to getthetea.com, GETTHETEA.com, www.getthetea.com, www.getthetea.com. Promo code James, folks. Promo code James. That'll get you free shipping and handling. It's not expensive. It's good stuff, all right? It helps maintain your health. It cleanses your body from all kinds of toxins, all kinds of things that can cause colds and flus and different things like that. It keeps the bugs out real good. It helps your digestion, all right? Just like I've been saying, my bloats, I feel so much better, guys. I feel so much better. And just in this journey that I'm taking to get back in shape, I really feel like it's helping me immensely. It really is. I really think so. So try it out, guys. Life Change Tea. You just saw me drink a bunch of it. You just saw my almost empty jug. That's, by the way, like the 3rd jug. All right. That's not the first jug. Not the first jug at all. Trust me. It's good stuff, guys. You're not going to be disappointed. You're going to thank me. All right. www.getthetea.com. www.getthetea.com. Get your Life Change Tea. Use the promo code James. Free shipping and handling. Thanks, guys.